Good afternoon, everybody. This is Narendra here from WeP Digital Services, and I will be driving through the webinar today. Currently, everybody is muted. As we go through the demo, if you do have any queries, please put it on the chat window. We will try and answer those questions. However, at the end of the session, there would be a small break where we would be open to take the questions as well. Having said that, let me start off with the small presentation here. So currently, these are WEP is working with some of these marquee customers, both on a document management system and GST as well. So there's a small snapshot of our marquee customers. Going forward, we offer two different services. One is related to GST. We provide a GST platform for small, mid, and large enterprises for their filing. And we also help them, we also provide managed filing service as well here. The other solution is document management solution, and that's the product that we're going to talk about today. And on top of document management, we have the solution built for Procure to Pay. So quickly getting on to the process itself. On today's demo, this is how the process is going to start off with. We're going to have a person requesting for a purchase. And once the person is requesting for the purchase, it goes to his or her supervisor for approval. And after that, it goes to the I'm sorry. I think there was some problem with the screen sharing. I guess I think now you should be able to see the screen. Just a quick check. These are the marquee customers that we are working with currently, starting with Wipro, Metro, Landmark, MRF, so on and so forth. Then we provide two different services. One is related to GST and document management solution. And on today's demonstration, document management system is what we're going to use. And we have Procure to Pay built on top of our document management system solution. And coming to the last slide, this is the process that we have built. A purchase request can come from any department. When the purchase request is started off, it goes to their supervisor for approval. And once the supervisor approval happens, it goes to department head for approval, and then to the procurement manager for approval as well. The procurement manager sends across a quote request to the vendors, where the vendor can send across the quotation. And once the vendor sent across the quotation, purchase, and if the quote is being accepted, the purchase order can be raised to the vendor. Vendor receives the purchase order, then the store or department receives the material. So the vendor is going to source it to the stores or departments. And after that, the quality department from the site will approve the material. And then the invoice initiation happens from the accounts department. The vendor attaches the invoice. Invoice is received by the accounts department. Then the department head approves the invoice. Invoice is posted into the ERP, and the payment has been done. So once the payment status is completed, at the end, what we do is all the documents that has gone through this particular process is being consolidated and uploaded into our DMS system automatically in a with the invoice number or the peer number being the folder name. And that is something that we're going to show you live today. Just to take a step back here, today there would be no demonstration on any of the ERP system integration. We would be primarily focusing on how the product works independently. However, the product has the ability to integrate with any third-party ERP system as well to pull in the data from the ERP system. So I've logged into our DMS system here. As we log into the DMS system here, we have workflow, and then we have procure to pay as a process. So you can just start off the process here. As you start the process, this is the electronic form that will be available for the initiator. If there's an urgent requirement, you can select the checkbox here. And then we have multiple fields. These fields can be configured based on your organization requirement as well. But there's a generic field that has been created here for the webinar purpose. So let's say that now legal entity we have selected. The preparer could be different, so we can select that. Operating unit, inventory organization, ship to location I'm selecting as Bangalore, bill to location I'm selecting as Bangalore as well. And then the item that was required, you can click on add. So you can select the serial number here. So these can come from the database. It's a goods, air conditioner. So I can put in the comment here. Unit of measurement has each, and then needed by. So you can select a date here by when you need the equipment or the request. The price, you can put in your, proposed price here. Required quantity, and then comments. And then we click on save. So the item that is required has been added up here. In case, apart from this particular form, if there is a separate form that has been hand-filled, that also can be attached here. So I'm going to do that. So there's a purchase request form. If there's a hand-filled form, that can also be digitized and dragged and dropped. So we have both the options here. One, you can have an electronic form where users can fill in the form. The other option is if it's a form that has been manually filled in, that can also be attached through the process. Once this has been filled in, you can click on submit, which goes to different level of approvals, and the process will continue from there on. So let me click on submit here. So once you've clicked on submit, one of the advantage that you have with the product is, as the initiator, you would want to know where the task is pending. So that you can click on under workflows, you can click on this procure to pay. It shows up the task. It's in progress. You can click on that, go to history. You can see that it has been initiated by X person and it is waiting with the supervisor approval here. So you get to know the entire history of the task that has been initiated here. So one good thing here is you have track mode for the purchase request that you have started off. Now, for the benefit of time, what I've done is I've kept the single user throughout the process so that we don't have to log in and log out multiple times. So the same user you'd be seeing as playing different roles throughout the process. So now the purchase request has come to the supervisor for approval. You can see this type is approved and it's in progress here. And you can see the due date as well. And you can see since it's been marked urgent, you can see in yellow it's an urgent request. So you can click on this and open it up. Here at the top, you have approve reject now. Earlier we had complete task. So if you reject this, it can go back to the initiator with the comments. If you want to approve this, it will go further in the process. So for now, I would click on approve. So before clicking on approve, a couple of fields that you have here is form. You also have document. You can actually see the purchase request form here. Click on view. You'll be able to see the form here. One of the good things here is this happening on the browser. So you do not require any native software to view any of the scanned documents. On back, so there's a document. Click on history, you can see the history as well. In addition to that, we have queries. So if you want to start or ask any query to another person within the organization, you can do that using the same tool. The benefit of this is anything related to the process is within the system. So something goes wrong tomorrow, you will be able to reconstruct the events using history and the queries. So let me go ahead and approve this. As you approve, the supervisor can put in any comments that they want. Click on OK. So after the supervisor, as we've seen in the presentation, it goes to the department head for approval as well. So the department head can see this. Now, the department head also has an option where if you want to change something here in the item, you can do that. You can click on this and change maybe the item from 20 to 15 and change the value to 50,000, so on and so forth. And then you can click on save. That has been added up here. And then you can click on approve to take it further in the process. Now, as the department head has approved the task, it is coming to the procurement manager to take it forward. So here the procurement manager can see the entire task along with the comments as well. And here he has an option where a vendor email address can be put in. So he's sending the request to the vendor. Since the vendor is outside of your system, you can type in the email address, or if the vendor is a registered vendor, then it can be available as a drop down to you so that you can just select the vendor here. So when you send this across, you can click on approve. So as you click on approve, primarily what will happen here is the system would trigger an email notification to the vendor, and that will be available to the vendor on his email. And I'm just getting into the email box of the vendor here. So you can see this, there is a email sitting here. So you can click on this particular email. The vendor can click and open up the link. There'll be a form that will show up here. So for the vendor, there's no login required. The form will directly open up. He can see the request that has come out from the customer, and based on that, he can provide the quote as well. You can see the complete detail here. And based on this, he has an option here to put in the quote. And he can also, if he has an option to upload the quote, he can do that as well. So I'm just putting a sample document here, price quotation. So just give me a second here. The document is uploaded. And once the document has been uploaded here, the vendor can click on complete task. And he can also provide comments if required and click on OK. So all the comments that you see here is getting recorded in the audit trail, which I'm going to show you right now. And one good thing that's going to happen is as soon as the vendor completes the task, the data would be available with the procurement team here. You can see this, the task is already available here, quotation received. And the process that we're talking about today can be configured. And again, repeating this, you can configure the process based on your in-house requirement. This process has been built based on our understanding, but this can be customized to your requirement as well. So let me go ahead and click on open up the task here. Once you open up the task, he has received the quote. Price quote is available here. All the other documents is available here. The quote that has been uploaded is also available here. You can click on view to see the quote. Click on back. And once the quote has been seen, you can also go back to history and see what is happening here. So the entire history is available. All the comments that has been put in by different people is also being recorded here as well throughout the process. Now, if this quote is fine, the procurement team can complete the task here. Click on OK. So once the procurement team completes the task, it is come back so that they can create a purchase order. So this primarily means the purchase order is obviously created in your ERP system. So what has been created, you can select it here. You also have another option where we can integrate with your ERP system, so the posting can happen directly from your ERP to our product, to WeP DMS. So for now, I'm just doing it manually. Selecting the PO preparer as well. And since the upload PO is a mandatory field, you can see this here. Click from PC. I'm uploading a dummy purchase order. So this completes the task from the procurement team. So they can click on complete task. They can put in their comments as well. So currently, as of now, what has happened is a purchase request has been raised, which goes through multiple approvals. And after that, the procurement team's request for the quote through the vendor. The vendor has sent the quote back to the procurement team, and the procurement team has now approved the quote, and they have uploaded the purchase order and sent it across to the vendor. Now, from here on, once the vendor receives it, another process starts off where the vendor has to send the invoice. The vendor also has to send the materials, and how those materials are being approved by the customer is something that's going to happen as a next step here. So now the purchase order has been received by the vendor here. So vendor can see the data here. He can click on open link. And again, this does not require any login. He can directly view the data here. So now the vendor can upload his goods receipt as well. It's not GRN, but the goods receipt. So I'm going to upload the goods receipt note. The goods receipt can be uploaded here, and the vendor is going to click on complete. That means he is sending the goods to the location. So he clicks on complete. So during this process, if there's any custom requirement from different companies, that can be accommodated as well. So for now, click on OK, and the task is completed by the vendor. So once the task is completed, I'm coming back to the customer portal where they're looking into their task. Now the location. This is store means a location. It could also mean your warehouse or a reception, wherever the goods are supposed to be received. So we're going to click on that, and here they're going to confirm if the goods are received or not. I'm going to say yes. If you have a GRN, then you can attach the GRN as well here. So for now, I'm going to click on, since the goods are received, I'm going to click on yes. and click on complete. Now, once the goods have been received, now that's been sent to the actual department who are supposed to use it. So there's a quality department, or you can have different names for it. So primarily, the person who's received the goods, they're checking for the quality of the goods. Have we received the actual product in good condition, the way it is supposed to be received? And if it's a yes, then you can click on yes. And any comments from the quality department can also be added up here. And this further allows the quality department to approve the materials or the goods that we have received, with some comments as well. Now, once the quality department has approved it, the invoice initiation starts. So now it's come back to the purchase department saying that, which indicates that, the goods have been received and the quality department is happy with the goods. Now the purchase department can approve this or send this form back to the vendor to raise an invoice. So here I'm going to click on complete task if this looks to be good. If required, we can add multiple, few more, options here so that the the procurement team can add in few more comments. That can be done as well. However, we have a default option to put in comments here. Click on OK. So now, once this particular task completed, an email has been again triggered to the vendor. And I'm just getting into the vendor email account. So we have the email sitting here. Click on this. As the same process, the vendor will open up the link. He can put in the invoice number. So I'm selecting yes 1234 as the invoice number. So at the end of the process, what would happen is the workflow would create a folder within the DMS system with the invoice number, and then move all the documents that has been part of this particular process into a single location, which will become handy for you for future references. So now that he's put in the invoice and uploaded the invoice as well, he's going to click on complete task. So this completes the task from the vendor side. I'm coming back to the customer portal, wherein the customer is seeing that the invoice is sent by the vendor. You can see the invoice here, the invoice that's been uploaded, and here he can acknowledge that invoice received. Now, when you acknowledge here, we have options where an email can be sent across to the vendor stating that we are acknowledging the invoice, which also gets the vendor's comfort that there's a digital invoice, so we have also received it. So once this is done, we can click on complete task. And then we have department head as the next step. Primarily, what's going to happen is this invoice again goes back to the department head, and he has to approve it as well. So there's one question from Vikrant. Can we have multiple vendors? Yes, you can have multiple vendors here. So currently what we showed was, a text box where we put in the vendor email address. If you have multiple vendors, registered vendors, it can come as a drop down where you can select it as well. So the account head can put in his comments. Now at this stage, if there's any different process where the account head needs to have a different say, that can be defined here as well. For now, to keep the process a little more straightforward, We made sure that he has an option put in the comment. He also has an option to reject it. Now, when the accounts head rejects it, you can define what exactly needs to happen. Should it get sent back to the purchase department so that they can talk to the vendor to figure out what the issue was, or you also want to loop in the person who initiated it. You want to loop in the entire team who was part of this, can also be done as well. So for now, I will just go ahead and click on approve here. Click on OK. Now, once the department head has approved it, so this is again the part where the ERP systems will come into picture. So this can be automated, but for now, I'm just showing it to you manually. The invoice posted to ERP system, you can say yes or no here, right? Ideally, it'll be an automated situation if an integration has been done. Now click on OK. Now, finally, the payment status. Again, this is related to the ERP system, but for now, we are keeping it manual. You can select the payment status as complete. Now, once this is completed, primarily the last step of the process is we're going to have a folder created within the DMS system with the invoice number as the folder name, and then all the documents which is part of the system is moved over there. So that is what we're going to show now. So this completes the process here. I've just duplicated the screen in another tab. Just going to that particular screen here. You can see this, the folder, the invoice that was created was S1234. A folder by that has been created here along with the date. So you can also define how the folder name should be. That gets created through the workflow itself. There's an automated system. You can see that it's been created by the system here. Date is also being recorded here. Now, when you click on this, you can see all the documents that has been part of the process is all segregated in a single location for your further pursuit. In addition to this, all of these documents have been approved. So that's the reason it all says approved here. So this has been through an approval process. It's all been approved. Now here, there are a few things that we can do. You have an option where you can view the document here. It's possible. And these documents are tagged with the metadata as well. So you can see this here, the legal entity name, operating unit name, payment status, invoice number, all these are recorded. You can have these are all configurable fields. You can define the way you want it to be set here. Ideally, what is happening here is all this data that has been set up here is tagged to this particular document so that it becomes easier for you to search and retrieve this particular document here. So I'm going to just show you that right now. I'm going to click on advanced search. So all the document that is related to that particular invoice number is already showing up for you right here. And you can further filter it based on legal entity, operating unit. And again, these fields are configurable. So currently what I've shown you is all configurable. Process to process, it would vary, and you can configure this the way you want it. So let me go back to the previous screen. Coming back here, one additional feature that we also have here is you can also share this document if you want. When you click on share, it would generate a link. You can email this document. It could be public or it could be within the company. You can define that. When you email this particular document, a link is being sent through the email. Do you want the other party to download this document? Can be defined by this checkbox. If you define that as they should be able to download it, you can also define should it be unlimited or single time. Apart from that, we also have allow extended sharing. So you share this particular link with a person A, he's able to forward that email to a person B. Do you want the person B to open up the link and view the document? That definition is done by allow extended sharing. If this is not being checked, If the person B receives the email from person A, he will still not be able to open up the link. Lastly, we have link expire. This would allow you to limit how long the link is active for the person with whom you have shared the link. You can define a date, year, month, etc. After this particular day, even after they having the link, they will not be able to access the link or view the document at all. So this is a nice feature that's been added up into the system itself. And then we have audit trail that I was talking about. So here it shows you, how many times the document has been downloaded or viewed. You can click on this. It'll show you the date, name of the person, kind of action they've taken in the system. Here you can also right click. We also have permissions. You can define the permissions. We have multiple permissions here. Your permission to view and download, view and upload, edit, full control, so on and so forth. So as a company, you can define what kind of access rights should be allowed for this particular folder that's getting created. Now, how do we automate this? At the parent folder level, you can set the permission. You can set the permission as view, apply it to all the subfolders. So any subfolder that gets created automatically will inherit the parent folder, access rights or the permissions. In addition to this, we also have dashboards and reports that's available out of the box, and also it can be configured to your requirement. A simple dashboard, it shows you the number of files, last access date, number of people who are part of the system, what is the last action that was taken. So all this is available out of the box. In addition to this, you can also have your own reports. The reports are available even in PDF and Excel format as well. So team, having said this, I'll just take a second pause here. Until now, what we've been talking about is primarily on the procure to pay process automation, which is built on top of a WeP DMS system, which is a platform. The same platform can be utilized for multiple purposes within the organization. We have customers using it for their employee records management. We have customers using it for their employee onboarding. We have customers using for their procure to pay process. We have customers using for their litigations, legal documents, trademark documents, so on and so forth. So primarily, there's a horizontal product which can be helpful for multiple departments within the same company. As you see this, we only talked about workflows and the document repository. We also have other options here, like distribution. Distribution is an option where if an HR or within the company, the IT team wants to send across bulk email with attachments to the people in the company, you can do that as well. Through this distribution system, you can set up schedules. So that's something that you can do. We've been talking about email sent to the vendor, who's primarily a partner, asking for them for a quote and sending them POs through emails. You can do the same thing through partner space as well. You can create a separate space for your partners so that they can upload, the invoices, purchase orders, or the agreements, so on and so forth on that particular space. And you can also define the access right. If you want to allow the partner only to upload and not to delete the document, you can define that as well, so that they can only upload but cannot delete any document from the system. So that kind of access rights can be set up here as well. So as you see here, we have reports as well. In addition to that, in addition to all of this, what you have seen is the product which is available out of the box. You can also customize the product to look like this here. This is just a gist of it that we have done to one of our customers. The look and feel and the way you want to access it can be completely customized or to your requirement. In addition to this, the product is available in 2 flavors. It's available on premise and also on cloud. Based on your requirement, we can, you can choose one of them as well. So with this, I would want to close my webinar session here. However, I would pause for a minute to see if anybody have any questions. So we would we would still have another 5-10 minutes to take questions. So you can post your questions on chat and I'll take it up right now. There's a question, does it allow functionality like e-auction? No, it doesn't have the functionality of e-auction at this point. Team, I'm going to pause for another minute. Please let us know if you do have any questions. And again, I do appreciate your patience. Thank you so much for joining with us for this webinar. And I would take another 30 minutes, 30 seconds break to see if you have any questions. So there's a question, is there any feature to see e-way bills details along with the invoice from suppliers? Mr. Pandya, it's a good question. We're glad that you're asking that question. We are one of the GST Suvidha providers. We do have a license for the same. And, this particular feature is definitely possible. We would reach out to you to see if at all you have a requirement, we can take it forward from there on. In addition to this, we can also have a vendor onboarding process as part of the system where all the vendors GSTN numbers can be verified through the DMS system itself. We have APIs to verify the GSTN numbers. Using the same APIs, we'll be able to verify the GSTN numbers of your vendors. So that's another feature that can be added up as well. So there's a question from Mr. Ravi Kumar. The question is, can we post the invoice or GRN into the ERP directly through the system? Yes, you can do that. So that's where the ERP integration would come into picture. So today what I showed you is manual. All the processes where the integration needs to happen, I've shown you manually. But yes, you can do the posting directly into your ERP system. Mr. Kunal, you have a question again related to, do we have a provision to read the data from invoice or PO? You also mentioned that you've joined a bit late. Please do not worry about that. We will be sending you the recorded demo after this webinar is done. You would be receiving an email by tomorrow with the recorded demo. So you'll still be able to view the entire recording. The answer to your question is the concept is called OCR, optical character recognition. That is not a part of the tool directly, but there are multiple tools available for OCR. We have the ability to integrate with them so that it can become part of the system as well. That is for the current requirement. But if you talk about another 6 or 8 months down the lane, we are working on robotic automation. At that point of time, we are hoping we're going to have the provision to read the data directly from the system, which will be part of our own tool. But for now, as an immediate requirement, we can partner with the third-party tools to integrate and give you the solution. So, team, we're going to pause for another 30 more seconds. If you do have any questions, please let us know about it. Again, thank you so much for your time today. I hope the demo was worth your time. We're going to pause for another 30 more seconds. Let me know if you do have any questions. Mr. Pandya, I guess we missed your email address. If you can share it on the chat window, that'll be great. All right, team, we will be wrapping up the session now. As I see, there's no more questions. Again, thank you so much for your time. You can expect an email from us with the recording by tomorrow. In addition to that, we will reach out to you independently to see if there's any opportunity to take things further. Thank you so much. Have a great day.